From the atop studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. It's time for our 5 in 5 segment. 5 topics, 5 minutes. Let's get right to it, Barry. Let's start with the Thunder. Will the Thunder remain atop the Western Conference? What do you think, Barry?
I think they will. Thunder's not playing well. Everybody knows that. Haven't played well in this 5-game homestand. They got still, a solid lead in the West, and I think the biggest thing going for the Thunder is that the team chasing them, the Spurs, don't really care about winning the West. Yeah. Finishing first in the West, never been big on Popovich's list of plans. Now, the Spurs won the West last year, or finished first in the West, and they could do it, but he's going to rest guys. He's going to throw away games. Thunder tries to win every game. Thunder goes. Losses hurt the Thunder. So I think the Thunder will hold on.
Yeah, I do too, and I think the team that's chasing them is a big part of that. But also, I had some people on our Power Lunch chat on Wednesday, really up in arms about the loss on Tuesday. Obviously, just a horrendous loss to lose an 11-point lead with less than 3 minutes to go. But people really concerned about where this team is going. And Barry, the truth is, against really good teams, this team's been really good. Against so-so teams, you've seen them lose to Washington. You've seen them lose to depleted teams. Against good teams, they play really well. It's sometimes those teams that they should beat that they don't. And so I don't think necessarily the fact that the schedule gets harder, I don't think that necessarily bodes ill for the Thunder.
I agree.
All right. What about this one, Barry? Did the Redskins give up too much to go get Robert Griffin?
I think they gave up too much to go get Peyton Manning, for crying out loud. All those draft picks, that's how you, first round high picks, that's how you build a franchise. And give it all away for Robert Griffin, who I loved on the college field, but we don't know if Robert Griffin's going to be a serviceable NFL quarterback, much less a star. Oh, man, I think they gave up way too much. Puts the Redskins really behind the 8 ball. But I will say this. The Redskins have been screwing up their drafts anyway. They hadn't been making use of that. So, in some ways, it's like the Redskins didn't waste anything. Somebody else, the St. Louis Rams are going to pay big dividends on that. But Redskins might be okay just because they weren't doing anything with it.
The Redskins have been screwing up. Maybe they actually got a guy that people can be excited about them screwing up getting. I don't know. I have no idea how good Robert Griffin's going to be in the NFL. I saw his game that won the Heisman, and I saw a game that kept me from voting for him in the Heisman. That OU game was the Heisman winner. His game against OSU, not a great day. A day when he didn't look like the best quarterback on the field necessarily. So I don't know what Robert Griffin's going to do in the NFL. And for the Redskins to give up so much when they need so much, Barry, they're trying to build in all sorts of ways, and to think this one guy is going to be able to solve it seems a little bit short-sighted to me. All right, back to the NCAA tournament. Let's talk about the women's NCAA tournament, Barry. Can the OU women win 2 straight games in the NCAA tournament? This has been a problem, 2 straight wins. They haven't done that a lot this season.
I don't think they can. Sooners have not won 2 straight since January. They win, they lose. They win, they lose. They go to Kansas City, they win, they lose. They finish the season at home against Kansas, chance to win 2 straight, they lose. So they're playing a pretty good Michigan team, then a very good St. John's team. Get them in Lloyd Noble Center, but Sooners have been susceptible in Lloyd Noble. I think the Sooners are going to do it again. I think they're going to go win and lose.
I think it's highly possible that happens, but you know what? They do see the advantage in having this draw. I was at their watch party on Monday night, wrote a lot about that, the fact that they really like where they are. Obviously I'm sure they're aware of this win-lose thing that they've been doing, and they know that they can't do that anymore. St. John's is a really good team. You don't beat UConn on UConn's home court in their 99-game winning streak, Barry, and not be a good team. But yet OUC's opportunity here, I don't know. I think they might put it together, but man, they are going to have to play better than they've probably played in a long time to beat St. John's. St. John's a really, really good team. All right, here's our up-in-the-air question for the week. What about this, Barry? Your wildest spring break trip that you ever experienced? Well, I can't hardly wait to see what you say.
I didn't come from the crazy place of Clay Center, Kansas. We didn't pop off and go to Cozumel and Fort Lauderdale every spring break. All I did in spring break was go to basketball tournaments all my life. So the wildest one of those happened to me. I was how old? 39 years old. The year of our Lord 2000. Cowboys get sent back east to Buffalo, New York. Win there. You go over to Albany, New York. We figured out, you know what? if they win 2 in Buffalo, just stay. Don't make the transcontinental trip back home just to go back. So I had like 3 days off in the middle of spring break between Buffalo and upstate New York. So I did all kinds of things. I mean, I went to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Dave Morris, who's our boss, director of video for News OK Now, he was out there covering it. Me and him went over and saw Niagara Falls, a wonderful romantic adventure like no other. So that was probably it. And then I spent a couple of days just lounging in a place like Syracuse, New York. And so, I mean, I got to see a good part of upstate New York. And so that's probably the wildest.
That doesn't sound like MTV ready, Barry.
No, I don't think it's...
Yeah, and by the way, Clay Center did not lead to a lot of wild spring breaks for me either. Actually, my most memorable spring break, I also covered basketball all through college and really didn't spring break in high school, I guess. But one of the things that I remember most from a break over spring, or a trip over spring break, was also basketball related. Went back east with the same Oklahoma State Cowboys, not that same year, but had games in Boston. And then the Sooners ended up landing in a regional in Buffalo and drove over to the game with Dave Sittler. Now talk about some togetherness. We weren't even working at the same paper and we're making that drive together. Talk about spring break. All right, lastly, Barry, will Tulsa hire Scott Sutton?
I think they might.
They might too.
Worked out great the last time they decided to use ORU as a farm system. They go down and hire Bill Self away from the Orals. Tulsa's scrambling the last 7-8 years. It's not that Doug Wojcik didn't win. It's that he made Tulsa basketball irrelevant, and that's even worse. Scott Sutton, I think, would sort of generate a lot of excitement in Tulsa. Probably open the door for his brother to become the head coach at ORU, make a good sibling rivalry. I think it would sort of galvanize the city of Tulsa basketball. And I think Tulsa University might just do that.
Yeah, I think they might too. You know, I think that they need something to infuse that excitement again. And obviously, you know, they got on that young coach in, you know, stepping stone job, and then they got away from it. It really hurt them. They really haven't recovered since then. I know in the hiring of Doug Wojcik, the hope was to get that back and get that excitement back, but it did not happen. And, you know, I think people around Tulsa generally like Scott Sutton, and I think if he was hired at Tulsa, you'd see that excitement come back to Tulsa basketball. There's no doubt that they can have those big crowds, but they're going to have to really get winning again. I think he could be a big help, and you're right, that would open the door to Sutton. Sutton.
Anybody that knows Scott Sutton likes Scott Sutton.
That's right. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.